In the name of the merciful and compassionate God, peace and the mercy and blessings of God be with you. Thank you for joining me for this episode within the larger series of 30 Days to a Better You. I'm now dealing with the subtopic of solidifying the pillars of Islam. And the last pillar I want to deal with today is the charity. And we're looking at, more specifically, letting your charity come from the heart and change your heart. Now we are all giving charity, especially in the light of the Russia war on Ukraine. And we are, feeling compassion towards the Ukrainian people. We want to help them, especially the refugees and those who have suffered from this war. How can we make that charity come from the heart and change our heart? Now, does it ever happen that, there is a collection in the office, everybody's giving to something, and your heart is not really into it, but you decide to give anyway because everybody is giving? It can happen to any of us. Some things we feel very passionate about, some things not so passionate about, but we give anyway, even if we're not feeling so passionate about that. But when we give charity as Muslim faithful, we want to do so for the pleasure of God. And we really want it to come from the heart as much as possible. And we also want that to change our heart. So how is that, how does that really happen? And why is it necessary? There is a verse of the Quran that says, وَمَنْ يُوكَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. As for those who are saved from the avarice of their own souls, they are the ones who are going to be successful. So if we want to be successful in the life hereafter, this is what we have to do. We have to be saved from the avarice of our own souls. We have to purify our hearts of greed, of covetousness, of jealousy, and all of that. And that comes with giving of the wealth. So how could this be possible? The charity in the Islamic faith is referred to as Zakat, at least the obligatory charity. And why is it called Zakat in Arabic? Well, the Arabic word Zakat comes from the root to purify. And the explanation for this goes two ways. On the one hand, we are purifying the wealth of any extraneous element. In our day-to-day lives, so many things can happen. Sometimes money comes to us and we're wondering at the end of the day, was that really right to take that money? Does it really belong to me? Is it really legitimate? So we may not even wonder. It may come to us and we are so accustomed to certain mores, customs, the way people earn money and so on, that it may not occur to us that there is something reprehensible in what we have done. By giving charity, according to one explanation of the term zakat, purify, or purification, is that when we're giving that charity, we're purifying our wealth of that extraneous bit of element. Of course, no Muslim is going to go and earn money like through stealing or deliberate falsehood or something like this. So it's only the extraneous elements that come in there surreptitiously that we're getting rid of through this giving of zakat or charity. So we're purifying the wealth. What remains then is legitimately ours, and we can use that. The second meaning, not necessarily in order of importance, is that zakat as purity means that we are purifying our hearts. When we give zakat, we are cleansing our hearts of greed, of avarice, of this desire to say, gimme, gimme, and this is mine, and I'm not going to part with this. So because we know that we have to give an obligatory amount, even though it's a small amount, that will break the ice and get us into the mood of giving. So once we get out the checkbook, we start writing, or we go online and we're starting to fill in the amount that we want to donate, then we'll start thinking, okay, let me add a little bit more because that's just a meager sum. So starting to give the obligatory amount of charity will encourage us to give more charity, and our hearts are becoming accustomed to that. We are being freed of that avarice, that greed, that covetousness, that desire to own and to hoard. So how can we cultivate this attitude? Well, one thing is already obvious: by giving more and more charity. But there are also some other hints which may not be so obvious. One is, whenever we give charity, let us think that we're doing this for the sake of God, even if it so happens at the moment that it was, collection in the office, and we're not so much gung-ho about that particular cause. But nonetheless, let's think that though I'm not so gung-ho about that particular cause, I am giving charity for the sake of God. I want God to be pleased with me. I don't care what the office people really think. Maybe they're pleased, maybe they're vexed, but I'm going to do what is right for the sake of God. And giving charity is a good thing that will please God, encouraged in the Quran again and again. Let me give charity. So that's one important hint, I would say, as a way of cultivating that attitude of giving charity for the sake of God. And let's think consciously as we give charity that this is a way of purifying our hearts of greed and avarice and covetousness and so on, all of these bad qualities. By thinking so consciously while giving charity, we will gradually free our minds of this kind of desire to own and to hoard and to keep things for ourselves. I pray that this Ramadan and forever, you will and I will continue to give charity for the sake of God, for His good pleasure, and that God will use this as a way of purifying our own hearts. So let your charity come from your heart and let it change your heart. Thank you for listening. This brings me to the end of the discussions on solidifying the pillars of Islam. Tomorrow, I will continue our 30 Days to a Better You by turning to a new subtopic, solidifying our relationships with each other. See you then. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be with you. On behalf of Let the Quran Speak, I want to say thank you for supporting us. Please continue to support us this Ramadan. May God bless you and your loved ones with the very best always, and may you draw ever closer to God this Ramadan.